Thanks again to Jeroen for coming onto the Kerbs with me, and I want to wish him the best of luck for 2023 and beyond. Join me again soon when I'll be chatting to another famous face from the world of motorsport. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and check out the other interviews on the On the Kerbs YouTube channel. If you want to hear more from me, you can listen to me chat about F1, amongst other things, over on the Undercut podcast, and you can also hear me dissecting everything Nitro RX related, including chatting with special guests, over on the Nitro RX podcast. Both podcasts are available here on YouTube, as well as over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you like to listen. You can also follow me over on Instagram at t.albers.daily.onthekerbs and read my various motorsport articles over on Is It Fast and Paddock Sorority. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next week, the next episode. Hello and welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Team Albers Daily. Joining me this week is ELMS driver Jeroen Bleekemolen. We caught up recently to chat about his varied but quite successful career in motorsport so far, which includes racing in the World Endurance Championship, his lifetime love for IMSA, winning the Porsche Supercup Championship twice, as well as arguably winning the biggest prize of all, Le Mans. So without any further ado, let's just get straight into it. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi, Joe. Thanks for being here today. First of all, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, enjoying a life full of race cars and lots of fun. So I can't
Someone's
complain.
got to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, first question I'd like to ask everyone I chat to on here: what first got you into motorsport?
Well, I grew up in a real racing family. My dad was a racer. He's still racing. Actually, he's 73, but he raced. He was on the podium yesterday in Zolder in Belgium, Euro NASCAR. So he's still going. But as a kid, I grew up on the racetrack. I always traveled with him. So saw lots of F1 already back then. He was usually doing the sport races for F1. So I knew all the drivers and all the helmets, and even though I couldn't read yet. So that was a very cool time, and I kind of had to get into it.
So pretty surreal in some ways, then, especially now that it's come full circle into back racing in Zandvoort as well.
Yeah, it's very special for us to see that Zandvoort has taken these steps. You know, it's when I first heard about it, I was like, impossible. There's no way F1 is going to come back to Zandvoort, because the track is pretty small, the pit lane is too small, and all those kind of things. To even get there with over 100,000 people a day is going to be impossible. But they've done an amazing job logistically, how to get everybody there, and also rebuild the track a little bit, but still kept the track very interesting to drive. So that's
definitely
really nice.
But back to you then. There's a lot to unpack with your career. I feel like we could be here for absolutely ages if we wanted to be. You've raced for 9 years. We'll start with that in the Porsche Supercup, and you won the championship twice, both in 2008 and 2009. Was one of these easier for you, or were they both equally difficult?
They were fairly equal. Both seasons were pretty dominant. I think in 2008 there were more cars, and it was more. I wasn't fighting just one driver. There were every weekend the podium would look differently, and luckily I was almost every weekend on the podium. But because others would not be up there all the time, I took the biggest margin over second in the championship in history. So that was really cool. And then in 9, there were a lot less drivers, and it was basically a big fight between me and René Rust, who I still rate as one of the best drivers out there. I was a little bit lucky in the sense that he had 2 or 3 DNFs where something broke on the car or something went wrong for him. So in the end, I had a big lead in the championship, and it wasn't that close between him and me, but it was very close in terms of winning. We were always fighting for it. So that was also a very special year. But that year I took all the podiums. So every race I was on the podium. So both seasons were really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. Those were my only 2 seasons where I actually did all the races in Supercup. All the other seasons I've always missed 1 or 2 or 3.
Maybe it would have been a bit worrying for the drivers who had been there for the 4 races for the other seasons. If those 2 years where you are there for everything, you win both of them then.
Yeah, it was definitely on my mind to move up to go into endurance racing. So that's why I took the chance. But In '07, when I did my first half a season, I didn't get points for my win in Monaco because I was entered as a guest driver. But that season, I could have actually been fighting for the championship. Again, with great competitors. Richard Westbrook was one of he won the championship eventually, but some really fast guys in there. So we always had great battles. It was, always really cool to do Supercup.
And like you're saying, in 2009, you were on the podium every race then. Was that a way for it to be more satisfying that year than 2008 because you were able to kind of like fix these, not mistakes, I want to say, from 2008, because it's still pretty impressive what you managed there, but kind of hit that home even more than to make that more satisfying?
Yeah, I think in '08 I could have been almost on the podium as well every race, but I had one or two races where there was I got hit at Silverstone, I think, in the rain from someone who braked too late, and he came from fourth or fifth. I was leading, so that was one of the races I didn't finish on the podium. But luckily, my main competitors were also off that weekend, so I didn't even lose points. But I think both seasons were really, really cool for different teams. But with both teams, I had a really good relationship. The first year was with Jetstream, a Dutch team, and I would always sleep on the track in the truck, as there are no hotels, but always hang out with the guys and work a lot in the evening on the setup, kind of making my own plan for how to attack the qualifying and the races. And in '09, I raced for Frans Conrad's team, who is obviously also a legend himself, and I really had good times with him too. So both seasons were really nice.
I imagine in '08 then, especially, you probably had some interesting stories there if you're staying trackside all the time with the team and working on everything.
Yeah, it worked really well. In the night we would have some fun as well between us, but during the day we worked hard. We always looked at all the information we could get. My own family, my dad and brother were also racing in Supercup with their own team. So I would always go and check with their engineer, and we would, talk about what the plan was for them and how the setup was for them and tire pressures, and then we would come up with a good setup. And it helped both ways because it helped me, but it also helped them. So it was really nice to work on that all the time.
Looking pretty nice. You also won the Le Mans 24 Hours in the LMP2 class in 2008. Tell us just all about that experience.
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, in the end, I have to be honest, the competition was not so big that year because we had by far the best. You keep
sounding modest about all these wins.
Yeah, but I mean, it was really like that. We had the best car, we had the best team, and we probably had the best lineup. There was one other Porsche Spider, but they were on Dunlops. We were a Michelin. So we had the edge on pace. So basically, we knew we had a really good chance at winning if we stayed out of trouble. In the beginning, we raced each other pretty hard with the other our Spider, but I think they got some issues, and then we had a 7-lap lead at some point. So then it was really about staying out of trouble. But to win Le Mans is always special. It was my first chance to win. I don't think you get too many opportunities to be able to fight for the win. Sometimes you end up in an uncompetitive car. So it was really cool to win it. We were brought out on the podium as first because we also won this Michelin Green X Challenge, which basically said we used the least amount of fuel and tires, a combination of it.
That's got to hurt the competitors a little bit as well there, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was really cool because Audi won it with their diesels, but we got to go on stage first with all the spectators, so it was an amazing feeling. And I mean, Le Mans anyway, it's such a cool event. Even if you're not on the podium, it's a week that is really cool.
Was it one of those situations where it took a couple of days for that feeling to sink in a bit and it didn't quite feel like you'd managed it until afterwards, or was it kind of quite easy to accept because, like you say, you've been in control of pretty much the entire time of the race?
Yeah, I think it was our race to lose, really. And we were very comfortable and confident in ourselves, in the team and everything. Porsche had also a lot of support for us in terms of engineers and mechanics, but also the team was just really good. So it was a Dutch team with a lot of guys I knew from the past. So it was nice to work so closely with all the people that you already know well. So it sounds weird, but we kind of expected to win, and it was our race to lose. So it was really cool, and for sure later on you think like, oh yeah, I actually won it. But for me, the race, so in '19 we won with the Ford GT, and then we got disqualified. because the fuel capacity was 0.4 of a liter too big, which was a mistake from our side. But that race felt in a way more special because it was very competitive. And, I think with 40 minutes to go, I was fighting with Jörg Bergmeister. The gap was 3 seconds. So it was a real sprint race. And
you say after so long as well for it to be that close.
Yeah, exactly. And that one was really the Monday. We were still officially winners because we got disqualified Monday night. But that Monday I felt really special. Like, oh yeah, we've won it. And even now till today, I'm really proud of the race we've done there. We did there because okay, we had too much fuel in the tank, but it didn't gain us anything. We won it on pace. And yeah,
saying in terms of drivers in the car, it wasn't like a driver mistake that did anything there. It's not like you went off on a corner and you'd always be thinking about that. Then if I'd taken it slightly differently, if I'd backed off or something like this, it was just one of those things that you couldn't really be helped.
No, exactly. And we had really a perfect race. So I drove with Ben Keating and Felipe Fraga, and our strategy was to let me and Felipe run for as long as possible the first part of the race. So Ben Keating only got in during the Sunday, and by then we had already quite a big gap to the competitors because we were just pushing very hard. But then Ben still had to do 6 hours of driving in 9 hours of racing. Very tough for him, but he managed to do that really well. We got a drive through, we got some issues, so in the end the big lead we had was gone, but that made it even more special to win it.
And just shows the importance that just because you have such a big lead, that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to get you to the end there. You've got to get there, and you've got to make sure you don't get these drive-throughs, like you say, and everything counts, and it's not over till it's over.
No, you got to actually cross the line there, so even the last lap, it can go all wrong. We've seen it before. So it's the excitement is never gone. The pressure is always on, even though we had almost a lap, I think, at some point, but which is quite a lot at Le Mans, but a lap is gone very quickly as well.
So you've also competed in the ELMS and the WEC championships with 5 podium finishes so far, including 2 wins. And you're kind of more in the ELMS side of things at the moment, but would you want to return to WEC in the future? Yeah,
I mean, definitely it's a great championship. I'm a big fan of Le Mans, which is part of the championship. So obviously, if you have the chance to do it, it's great. I've enjoyed racing in IMSA also a lot. So, but it's a great combination if you can do both, because usually you don't have too many clashes. So then, IMSA and WEC are for me the coolest championships there are at the moment, and especially the tracks in the States are so cool that hopefully I get to combine them again.
That'd be quite something. What is it about those two specifically that you love so much then?
Well, I think WC is all about Le Mans, and of course the other races are also nice, but Le Mans is of course the big one. It's the biggest endurance race in the world, and you notice that, on everything, when you're there with the fans, with the whole experience, and I just love the racing atmosphere in the States with the yellows. You always have a chance. You can always come back, even if you were a lap down. And then usually at the end, it's a really hard fight. But I just like it. And then the tracks, I think in the States, are still very old school, very challenging, which also makes it just more fun to drive.
Makes it, more fun and more satisfying. I guess if and when you do manage to put it all together and you get good points or good podiums.
Yeah, exactly. There's no track limit debate there. The track limit is usually the wall or grass or gravel. But if you go off, then you go off, and it hurts in terms of. It's not super dangerous, but it hurts in terms of result. So you always have to be on the limit, but not over, which is what I really like. The racing is just better because there are no track limit issues. I think.
Well, definitely, it's frustrating in other motorsport series, definitely on that respect. So it's nice where it's just clear cut, see that it is or it isn't, and there's no kind of debate you can have about it there. So
yeah, exactly. Also, the side-by-side racing is much more fun if you don't have all these runoffs, because now you try and you don't make it, and you just go wide and you give up the position again. But in all these fights in the States, you really try, and then it's so exciting if you pull a pass on the outside or something and you make it. Yeah, the satisfaction is much bigger.
You also got to jump back into the A1GP at Assen back in end of July, beginning of August time, I think. What was that like?
Yeah, it was great. All the memories came back. First of all, the sound of those cars were amazing. This was a two-seater. It doesn't have power steering like in the old days, so it was really heavy to turn the wheel. So I remember that too, because I remember some of the races were really, really hard to do back in the day. But yeah, just a powerful car, but also a lot of fun. You know, the tires are big. Yeah, it moves around a lot. But it's just a fun race car. It's yeah, you can race hard, and those were one of the best days. And all the drivers that were in it are saying the same. We've had such a good couple of years with A1GP.
I imagine you had a big grin on your face the entire time you were in that car, did you?
Sorry, what?
I imagine you had a big grin on your face the entire time you were going around in that, did you?
Yeah, I mean the competition was nice also. Most teams were funded, so that meant that most drivers were getting paid a little bit of money or prize money, and that meant that there were a lot of good drivers in it. So that made it also really cool. But then yeah, just the racing, the power boost system you had, 2 races in the weekend with the pit stop and everything. It was just and also cool tracks. We also went to really cool places. Yeah, all over the world. So and it got pretty popular in some countries, which made it even nicer.
So you've raced in, I think it's fair to say, a lot of different categories up to this point. Are there any other forms of motorsport that you would like to try in the future?
Well, I'm pretty happy with all that I've done. Like this year, I did, for example, a Brazil stock car race, which is a really cool championship as well. Been there a few times. I saw Bathurst yesterday. I've done that one, the 1000. With Shane van Gisbergen actually, who won it again, but I've driven with him there, so those were incredible experiences. And then racing in the States and in Europe and everything combined, I don't miss too much, I think, on my career. But yeah, hopefully I'm not done, and I can get another couple of nice results and big wins, and hopefully some of the big 24-hour races. But yeah, one of the tracks I haven't driven at is Macau, so maybe that's one that's missing. I never really got the chance to go there, to drive there, but I think otherwise I've seen so many tracks and championships, and yeah, I really can't complain about that.
Would you say then that, going off what you were saying earlier, that IMSA is the one that you've enjoyed the most?
Yeah, I think so. I've done it for 13 years now, the last 13 years, and I really felt at home. I've been with Riley for 7 or 8 years, so with one team. Which made it even, it made me feel even more at home. But also with other teams, it was always fun, and you had to be smart with strategy, with pit stops and all that stuff. So yeah, I just always feel right at home there.
So kind of that extra, not level of satisfaction maybe, but we'll say that because I can't think of the word I'm thinking of. But when you have this team where you've been there for such a long time and you've built like this forward momentum with them, you know everyone, and you keep building that forward, and it just kind of feels like you say, like it's a family atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. I was just back there last week in Atlanta. I went to visit the track for one day during the Petit Le Mans week, and it's amazing how small the community is there. It's the biggest endurance championship in the States, but you know everybody more or less, which makes it really cool. And there's a lot of respect between the drivers. We've had big fights. We've had fights that went over the limit sometimes, but we can talk about it, and also with the race director and shake hands, and then it's all good, and that's the racing should be hard and hopefully fair, but you can go to the limit, and that's what they do there, and that's what I really like. What
then on the opposite side of that has been the most challenging thing for you to overcome in your career so far?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think I had 1 year where I struggled a little bit because I did DTM, and then the manufacturer I was racing for pulled out, Opel. So then I had to kind of find something new. I raced a bit in the Netherlands, but then pretty quickly after that, A1GP picked up, and I started doing European Le Mans and Le Mans. So that year in the end got pretty busy. It's
a blessing in disguise, maybe in some ways.
Sorry?
A blessing in disguise, maybe in some ways, there.
Yeah, at least I could do some other stuff again. But yeah, I mean, now it's not so easy actually at this moment. I don't know exactly what I will be driving next year. I hope to be back in IMSA for at least the long races, and hope to do a bit more in the States. And then we'll see, and hopefully something for Le Mans comes up. But at the moment, nothing is signed, which is for me very late. Normally, in June or July, I know more or less what I do the next year. So hopefully everything will sort itself out soon, because it's nice to know what you're gonna drive and race.
Definitely. If you could team up with any racing driver for whatever race you choose, which driver would you want to team up with?
It's a tough one. I mean, I've had some really cool teammates like Shane Van Gisbergen, and he's one of the best drivers out there. I've
Was that a bit of a surreal experience with him, or?
Yeah, but he's also just a super easy guy to work with, to hang out with. So I always enjoyed running with him. I think I've had great success with Sean Edwards, who unfortunately died in a crash in 2013. But to be able to, it would be nice to do some racing with him again. Unfortunately, it's not, but we've had we were very close, and we had some great success winning Dubai and Nürburgring 24-hour. And racing each other at the same time very hard in Supercup. So we were really friends, and had a lot of respect. So he would have had, I think, a very long career, and we would have probably still been racing each other or against each other. So I would probably pick him as a driver. I wouldn't mind driving again with.
No, definitely. A couple of fun non-racing related questions then to finish off. If you could get away with it, what sort of movie-style heist would you like to do?
Well, it has to include something with cars, I think. I don't know. I mean, I always love these old, like from my age, movies like Heat. I remember that was always a cool movie, also with some cars involved, and I guess it has to be something with trying to escape with a fast car.
Fast and Furious meets Heat, maybe, so you got the cars to go with it.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of the Fast and Furious. I
was more thinking for the garage than the films, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But I've never really watched too much of it. But I mean, it's if it's a good fight with cars, then it's always nice to watch.
And finally, would you rather always be 20 minutes early or 10 minutes late?
I think 20 minutes early. Yeah, I'm usually on time, so I hate to be late. So 20 minutes early.
Fair enough, short and sweet. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today, and I want to wish you the best of luck for whatever it is you end up doing next year. We'll wait and see and find out.
Yeah, hopefully pretty soon I know a bit more, and then then we can go again.
Thanks again to Jeroen for coming onto the Kerbs with me, and I want to wish him the best of luck for 2023 and beyond. Join me again soon when I'll be chatting to another famous face from the world of motorsport. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and check out the other interviews on the On the Kerbs YouTube channel. If you want to hear more from me, you can listen to me chat about F1, amongst other things, over on the Undercut podcast, and you can also hear me dissecting everything Nitro RX related, including chatting with special guests, over on the Nitro RX podcast. Both podcasts are available here on YouTube, as well as over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you like to listen. You can also follow me over on Instagram at t.albers.daily.onthekerbs and read my various motorsport articles over on Is It Fast and Paddock Sorority. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next week for the next episode.